On today's episode of Beauty Behind the Brand, we have Dureen, one of my all-star Muskoka beauties here in our local community. I am so privileged to actually sit down and chat with her. She is one busy lady, and we are chatting all things about how important having a strong support system is when being an entrepreneur, the different aspects of being a solo entrepreneur, and investing your efforts into creating a high-quality service offering that sets you apart from others. So let's dive into this episode. Like I said, she's a beauty all-star, and let's all hear what she has going on right now. You've got the floor, Monica. It's all you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Nicole. I think this is a great thing that you're doing for the industry. It is crazy that this is how we get to see each other as female business owners and boss women. And we live in the same town, actually right across, like in the same neighborhood. So
yes, exactly.
But that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. You know, we're busy. We are in the trenches of our businesses. We are in the beauty industry, and it's a service industry, right? So we are on the floor, on the go all the time. So I guess basically what we can start from is I have been a master colorist. I have my master colorist with Goldwell. I have been with them for probably 18 years, so almost my entire hairdressing career. I'm a master colorist, a salon owner, like you mentioned. I do have a salon. It's a studio salon, just myself here in Bracebridge. But it allows me the flexibility to be able to now travel as a national artist for Goldwell. So I go into salons and teach and educate and kind of help other stylists and hairdressers grow their craft behind the chair, which is really cool. So I get to do that. So I feel like I have the best of both worlds. Like I get to service the community and I get to still be behind the chair 5 days a week, 6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But I also get to change up my job now, which is pretty cool. So I get to be on the road within Ontario and within Canada, and sometimes go through the US, which is pretty cool. So to start way back, I guess, you know what, my first job was in a hair salon. I worked for a family friend who had me come in just as my first job, sweeping floors. And I was probably 14, 15,
oh, wow.
15 years old. Yes. And I mean, and she's still in business today, which is really cool to also have that sort of networking with, you know, some of the people that I not only are family friends, but gave me my start and gave me my passion to be able to, like, you know what, I really love the fact that they work so hard, and at the end of the day, they make people feel great about themselves, right? So I'm like, you know what, this is really something that would be a rewarding career. And so from there, I, you know, finished high school, and out of high school, I did that, you know, like maybe I'll take a business course. I'm not sure if I want to do it as a hobby or if I could see myself doing this long term as a career, or if it was just something for fun I wanted to do. But turns out, so yes, almost 18 years later, I am doing the same thing. So yes, I have never turned back. My job is not a job. I feel like when you go to work and you love what you do, it's not, you don't work a day in your life. Yeah, sure, you know, the body gets sore, the bones get sore, and you get tired. But at the end of the day, our job as a hairstylist, or even in the beauty industry, we are able to make people feel great about themselves, right? So
100%.
Yeah, it's a very like wholesome thing to be able to say that we do. You know, and then going through the pandemic, not being able to do that for people, you know, we were shriveling as stylists. We were shriveling as people, you know, that love to make other people feel great. You know, it kind of drowned us out a little bit. So we were missing and lacking that human and personal connection with our clients to be able to do that on a daily basis. So yes, so that's basically where, kind of in a short snippet of where I started and where I am now. But being able to do this and say this like 18 years later, being behind the chair, I've owned my salon for 15 years. It is something that I've never really wanted to change, right? I've always wanted to be this. And I think when you kind of see that and you kind of feel that right from the young age, like to be able to pursue that and, you know, have very supportive family and friends that allow you to be able to now travel on the road, right? I am a mom, single mom of a 9-year-old daughter. So, I mean, you know, like even she's like, Mom, like your job is so cool. Like you get to go all
Aw.
these places and you get to do this and that. And so I think as being a female in the industry, and not only that, but just being a mom and like balancing family life, work life, it's something with this career that I've always been able to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yes, going into salons and traveling and sharing my passion, but also kind of breaking up the day to day in the salon, for me is like, yeah, it's a cool, I have a very cool job. So I'm, you know, able to do that where I'm not stuck behind the chair all the time. I get to work with very cool people, very talented people. Being part of the National Artistic Team, I get to pull myself out of my little small town box and go in and be with these people that, you know, do a lot of editorial work and do a lot of fashion weeks and, you know, like New York Fashion Week. And so it kind of pulls me out of my comfort zone a lot, which helps me grow as a stylist so
Mm-hmm.
that I can bring it back to my salon and back to behind my chair. But it also helps me grow as a person to be, you know, at a different elevated stage in my career. To be able to be a part of that is pretty cool. It's
You
pretty
touched
cool.
on so many great points there too, because I feel like you're very much like me too, having like your entrepreneurial based family as well. Like I
Yes.
feel like your parents get it, where it's like we will help support you in the sense of
Yeah.
like it, yeah, not even financially. It's like we will be there to be those grandparents in place, or we'll be there to help you get your dream off the ground and support you mentally. I feel like that's sometimes the biggest thing is taking that burden away from you, where it's like I feel like a guilty parent right now, but I need to do this for myself as well, for my business, and to pursue my dreams of going to that next level, like you're saying, outside of this the small town to like national level, like you're saying.
Yes. And I, you know, it, and, you know, having family and sisters and coming from a family of very strong women,
Yes,
they
yeah,
get it. They get it. And, you know, like, yes, my parents are self-employed and I give them all the credit to, you know, giving me that work ethic and that drive that I have today. And sometimes I don't necessarily say it's to a fault that
yeah.
we're a bit of workaholics when you own your own business, but
It's
that's
in our blood. It's in our blood because they were entrepreneurs. It was passed down generations, right? That's how I explain it
yes,
to people.
yes, it's just comes naturally. It's like breathing, right? And being able to now, yes, be a mom and have supportive parents that, you know, like, hey, you know what, I have to do this class, can you grab Macy, like, you know, and sisters that are, you know, same thing, like it takes an army, it takes a
Mhm.
village to be able to make all these things work. And
Absolutely.
yes, that I'm very thankful for.
Hmm.
um, but yes, being able to travel and do these things, it's not easy balancing it, you know, like day here, you know, I may be to Sudbury and back in like 6 hours, you know,
Yeah,
round 6 hours in the car for an hour class, you know, but you just make it work because it's, you know,
absolutely.
rewarding when you go, you know, go into these places
And
and
like you said, it's not a job, it's like a passion. And also being a solo entrepreneur too, it's kind of
yeah,
nice because then you get to be around those like-minded people or other salon owners and learning all the different things. And I find my mom being a hairstylist as well, she says it's hard being on your own because you're not getting that new feedback or you're not getting new styles and cuts and different
yeah.
clients coming in. You kind of have that niche clientele that comes to you for specific things. Now, has color always been your passion from day one, or has it changed over the years of what your
Yeah.
number one thing is under the hair umbrella?
So under my, you know, being a master colorist, it was always kind of my drive. I always was a colorist. Like right from the beginning, I wanted to do color, right? And let's be real, it's the bread and butter of the business, right? So
Mhm.
doing hair color is where we make our revenue. As far as being a cut, like a stylist, like somebody that just does haircuts, that's not really my creativity. To be honest, you know what? It was like up into the last few years where I actually kind of honed in on my cutting techniques and took some classes because you know what? And very truthfully, it was always color classes I took. I
Oh, okay,
always
yeah.
classes. You know, somebody would come in with a haircut and want this picture. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. I'm just gonna, yep, we're just gonna go with it and do our best. And you know, it always worked out. It's, you know, trusting yourself and your own talents to be able to do these things is really important. And that's how you grow as a stylist. But color was always my thing. So, and then that was now what has brought me on to the National Artistic Team, is being able to recreate and formulate and create looks for Goldwell, which is really cool. And I'm very fortunate to be able to do that now.
Did you ever think that that was going to be, you were going to get to that level? Like right when you had started even opening your salon, did you ever think, oh, one day I'm going to do this? Or did the opportunity just kind of come about? How did that all start?
So again, not till recently, like I was invited. So it's a position that goes from about almost 500 educators, Goldwell educators in Canada, to a elite team of 35, which is pretty cool. So when I started this out, my steps were, you know, I wanted to be first, get your license, get a job, like do all those things. But then I'm like, okay, well, what's the next step? What can I do next? Like I think that just again, the drive and being an entrepreneur and just very work ethic is very driven. It was always, what's next? What can I do next to elevate? So being an educator was the next thing. I want to work for the company, right? Like I want to work for this company that I'm buying products and creating these looks. Now I need to work for them somehow, shape or form. I know corporately, I don't even want to touch it, but somehow creatively, I want to work with them to be able to travel. Because I would have educators come into my salon and teach me about stuff. And I'm like, that looks like a pretty cool job. I want your job. And then get the job, go get the job. And then it just kind of spirals from there. You want something else, right? You're going into these huge salons, these really cool salons and spas across Ontario and even Canada, that you're like, you know what, like this is really cool vibe. And you just get that itch and you get that drive to keep doing that. So then the next level would be the National Artistic Team. And so for me, that is a lifetime career goal, was to be a part of that team, to be in that elite group for the company and work with such great people that are very like-minded, support each other, push each other. And then also, you know, we feed off each other creatively, like just to be able to create looks and educate and that sort of thing. So.
On this podcast, we always talk about nutrition and how important our gut health is, as well as how our brains function when we're eating superfoods, and obviously the convenience of having those available. Personally, I'm like a low-key, non-prep, don't like to be in the kitchen kind of person, and I'm sure a lot of my entrepreneurs and busy moms and busy people listening can completely relate to this. Now, if you haven't tried Revive or heard of it, it's definitely a game changer. With my promo code and my affiliate links linked below, you will be able to receive 50% off your first order / box of these delicious pre-portioned super foods that can be delivered right to your door with free delivery at checkout. So just hit the link below for the affiliate links as well as the promos to get 50% off your first box of these delicious pre-portioned meals that you're going to be thanking me for later. Community, like you're saying too, like it's like-minded people, like even if it's not even the same industry, but when you find those people in the same industry, they understand the lingo, the conversations, the struggles, the positive rewarding things that happen. It's just like you've found your peace almost. It's like the most rewarding, like you said, it's like almost like your goal in life in a career level as well as a personal level too.
Yeah. And, you know, like circling back, you know, doing something that you love is like breathing, right? It's like breathing. It just comes naturally. You know, my first class I ever taught, I went in and I always like to put a bit of sense of humor into it. I don't want to go in like, you know, we're all the same. We're all stylists. We all like to do, you know, the same thing. We all like to make people feel good about themselves. We all like to talk, laugh, joke. We hear it all. You know, we're therapists too, in a way. You know, clients sit in our chair and I swear there's a plug in the bottom of it. And it's just like, sometimes they just offload, and it's great to have that sort of connection. So again, yes, being with a group of people when you do work by yourself is pretty important. And I think it's great for me to be able to do for Muskoka and for Bracebridge to be a
Yeah,
part of
definitely.
such a cool thing.
Well,
Is
share about last night's award you won as well.
oh,
Like, yeah.
so the Bracebridge Chamber of Commerce Awards, which is, again, it's a really great opportunity for the community and business owners like myself and you to go to these events to see other business owners. You know, we're all dressed up and we get to talk, and it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in years. Have you been? What's new? Like, work. Let's, like, we're just busy working. But yes, I was honored to receive the Service Provider of the Year award last night. Which, again, being in the service industry is like near and dear to our hearts, being able
Yes.
to provide services for clients in Bracebridge and Muskoka. And we, at the same as you, pride ourselves in that. So yes, I was thankful to receive that award.
Yes, very well deserved. And I feel like it's one of those things when it's nice when the community sees that as well. Like, I remember when we had gone through that with like some of the awards, like this was years ago when we had first opened as well. I found it was just so rewarding to have almost like that confident in the, like, it's what I'm like thinking of the word, almost like justified that the community understands your mission and what you're trying to do with your business too, is to serve
Yeah.
others and to have that quality service too.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like what the hair or the nails or whatever looks at the end of the day. It's the full service, like you're saying too. Like, clients feel comfortable talking to you,
Yeah.
and they feel like, oh, I get to go see her in 6 to 8 weeks to get my hair done, right? Looking forward. They probably see us more than they see half their friends. That's what I
I know.
always say.
Well, and this is it. And you know what? I see some of them more than I see my own family. And it's like, you know what? They sit down and it's like, oh my gosh, I was like, I cannot wait to get in to see Monica to tell her about this or to tell her about that, or like, like, it's never ending. And you know that they're part of our extended family. So to be able to like sit there last night and then to receive that award, I was like, oh, me,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
thank you so much. You don't realize, like, and again, you know, because I was amongst all these great businesses that were nominated as well. But for me to be one single person to have that impact on the community, it makes me proud, and gives me a little flutter in the
100%.
heart. Yeah.
100%. And it's also, you're doing that as well as a whole other business in itself as well.
Yes.
You're literally doing two different things within the industry, but they reflect on each other. I think, like you said, when you go into another spa or salon, you understand because you've worked in the industry and for 18 years, like, and seeing generations of different trends and clients and different hair textures and everything as well.
Well, and this is it, like, so many different trends, and you know what? They all circle back, and they all circle back, and it's like, yes, it's like, oh yeah, I remember, like the 90s hair, and then now, like, that went from the center part, now we're back to the side part. I'm like, oh well, thank God, because I waited that out. I could not deal with the center part.
Same. I can't.
I waited all you people out because I was like, I am not going with flat hair. I am not going with flat hair.
No.
I like my big hair, like you just like full hair in that side part. I'm like, haha, I guess what's back.
Yeah, I remember once I styled my hair well, I had a lot of situations. I have very naturally curly hair. And I remember when I was doing pageants, I had my hair somewhat straight and they just dry cut my bangs and they didn't realize how curly it naturally was. So then it went up to like an inch long bang basically. And then even too, they tried to do a center part on me. I'm like, no, every photo I like never post them because I look absolutely terrible. It's not for everyone. And that's another thing with trends, right? Is having your own flair on it as well. What do you say to your clients when they're kind of looking for a different style or wanting to try something new?
So whenever, I feel like clients are in this, because I say for myself, like, I'm a very conservative colorist. Like,
Okay.
and I also go to the demographics of where we live, right? Where things are
Absolutely. Yeah.
muted tones, muted color, muted like styles and haircuts. So being a conservative colorist, I always try to add a little bit of something different, like a little pop of this or that. meaning blondes or browns. Like I'm not one to do like very vivid tones. I mean, this is where my other job is very cool in the fact that something that I don't do on a day to day, I will do as part of Goldwell, or
Oh,
I will
fun.
formulate for other salons to give them those vivid tones. So I live through them, which is pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So me being a colorist, like when I'm suggesting stuff for clients or like different looks or some a sort of change for them is like I like to look at their day-to-day, their day-to-day life. How do they like to style their hair? How do they like to like wear it? What sort of things have they liked or not liked or had in the past? To try and add a new spin on it, to add a little bit of a new spin or a new technique, even as simple as layering a little bit more around the
Oh,
front,
true. Yeah.
giving a little bit more of a fringe, adding a little bit of lightness or darkness in certain places really adds a lot of dimension to a color that maybe they've been doing for a long time. So just little subtle tweaks can make a big impact. But generally, you know what, like having the same clients, and I'm very lucky to have such a family clientele that they sit in my chair, they don't even ask, they don't even tell me, they just, do you, and they always are happy when they leave. So that's again another rewarding part of my job of having clients for so long. They just trust, they know that I will know when they need a change. So
Yeah. Are you thinking about starting a podcast? I remember when we launched Beauty Behind the Brand, it was just an idea at first, and I didn't know where to start or what platform to use or how to streamline everything. Buzzsprout has made our lives so much easier, and I want to share some free info about it. Save $20 on your second invoice with Buzzsprout, and they will make your life so much easier. All you really need to do is upload, chat, and interview your guests, and Buzzsprout does the rest. So, yeah, definitely. Okay. And like you said, they trust you. And if like the hair, let's say they need a break from a certain color or they need a different style, or if their hairstyle has changed, like even I find too, my mom has mentioned this with different clients, the older they get, their hair is changing, the different thickness and that kind of thing. So you're the professional. That's what I always try to say to my girls at work too. I'm like, they're coming to you because you're the professional and they have trust in you.
Yeah. And if a client sits down and, they're a little bit somber or they're a little, like, okay, it's time. We're doing something different. And no, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you're going to love it. So yes, we'll do it. And and they're like, okay.
Okay. Sounds good. That's amazing.
Sometimes clients just need that, right? Just like us. We trust the professionals to advise us on, maybe something different.
Liven us up a little bit, right?
I know. We all need it. Like we all need it.
Yes, exactly. Now, why Goldwell? What is the main reason why you directed yourself to that color and gravitated yourself to that line?
So, circling back to when I first put into the salon industry, sweeping floors as a maybe 13, 15-year-old, there was always a sales rep that came in to this salon. And again, she was with the company for 30 years. We seemed to attach to each other. We had this sort of relationship, and she followed me all the way through her career until she retired. So when I first opened up my salon, like, I'm going to call Barb. Her name was Barb. I'm going to call Barb, and Barb is going to come in and she'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like you're opening up your own. Like, absolutely. So she was the driving force behind that. But not only that, when I was learning and taking classes at the beginning and doing my licensing and doing my schooling, I worked with Goldwell Color.
Oh, amazing.
Now, did we dabble in other color brands? Yes, absolutely. Because, we love products. We're in the beauty industry of products. Yes. Like, before I could even open up my salon, I'm like, I have enough product in my house to open up my own salon. So we'd always play with different products, but I found the technology and just the color result. And it's a German-based company, so their technology is always advanced, and first and foremost, it delivers. So when you're doing colors and that sort of thing, it was always, the results were reliable. So I always gravitated back to Goldwell. And then they started, like, they innovate so much through their technology and their products and what they are coming up with as far as a brand. I opened up with them. Like, I opened up my salon, and then in turn took color classes, then I really invested in myself when it was like 3 year, 4 year in the making, becoming a master colorist.
Okay.
So that was a lot of time invested. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do this with Goldwell. Like, I'm committing to them, right? Like, I'm
Hmm.
committing to them. But not only that, they committed to me too. So behind the chair, they were very supportive for the stylist, whether it was bowls and brushes or capes, anything that we sort of needed. And Barb was the driving force with that.
Hmm.
Like, we are here to support you. It's the relationship between the salons and Goldwell that also made me feel like, okay, this is a real family. Like, this is a
Yeah.
real brand that, I want to invest my time in, because they're investing in me,
Hmm.
which I feel is a really important thing. And they support the stylist, whether it's a stylist or stylist salon owner, they have our best interests at heart.
And
So
listening to you too, like the things that you do need or things that you suggest, and making them actionable and taking that action.
yeah, and that's it. I think, and you can vouch for the same thing. There's different brands that you work with in your spa. It's the same thing. If you have one brand or one sales rep that really supports you and wants you to succeed, you're going to always gravitate to them, right?
Oh,
You're
100%.
you're going to gravitate to them because they offer so much support. And now I feel like I can give back to them in this way of, like, putting my expertise out there to help them as a company as well.
It's kind of like that full circle, right? You were like, when you
Yeah.
had first started, you got influenced by a sales rep, like you're saying, Barb, and then now you're almost becoming that person for these other salons, which is so
Yeah.
amazing.
And it's again, it's a feel good thing, right?
Hmm.
We're in it, same as you, to make
Yeah.
people feel great. And it's not like other professions where they may not feel so great when they leave. Our job is, yeah, something that we can say is rewarding at the
Hmm.
end of the day. Tiring, yes, very tiring. But it's rewarding. It's a different sort of work.
Well, and it's a passion. And that's what I always say to people when they're trying to figure out their career. Cause I took a few years off after high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I
Mhm.
kind of thought, what do I enjoy doing that I'm not very like analytical when it comes to school stuff. So it was like, what is something I enjoy? And even to yourself of like, you're working and kind of breathing this hair salon world. And it's like, okay, this sounds promising. Let's dive in and see what it turns out to be. And that's
Yeah.
what I love about hearing stories on this podcast too, is listening to how people started, and it might instill something in someone else listening to this of kind of, oh, maybe I want a career change or getting into the industry too. What is some advice you would have for people getting into this industry, and whether they're starting or doing a career change, getting into hairstyling?
So I think, I see a wide range of stylists. Like, when I go into salons, some are apprentices, some have been in the industry for 30, 40 years. There is something for everybody to learn. Like, we are learning every day, whether it's at the entry level or the exit level of our careers. I find that, and any advice that I would give is, if you have a passion for it, if you like know that this is something that you want to do at any age, and again, entry level or career change, you just go for it. Go for it.
Hmm.
If you feel nervous, nervous is good. Butterflies are good. It means that you're stepping outside of your box and learning something. If somebody has that passion and drive to learn, that's the first step,
Hmm.
because you can always grow, you can always be creative, you can learn new techniques, you can learn all the steps throughout the way. But if you have that drive and passion to learn something and step outside of your comfort zone, that's all it takes.
And I
Because
really like what you said about it being kind of that nervousness is good, because I feel like a lot of people have almost like a gut feeling and that nervousness mixed up, where it's like, oh, is this telling me not to do it, or is this something I should pursue because I am nervous about doing it?
well, and this is it, like, and I get butterflies. I go and stand in front of I teach a lot at the Toronto Academy, and I go and stand in front of people that I feel are way more elevated. Like they're big salons, they do runway shows, they do different fashion weeks, and I'm like, they're okay. We're all in it to learn together. They're here to hear what I have to say, but I also get to learn from them as well. So this whole industry, we all learn from each other. And as long as if you're starting or looking for a career change, and like I said, if you have that passion or that drive to learn, and have those nervous butterflies, like they will go. Oh, they will
Mm-hmm.
go once you gain the confidence.
Well, even remember working our first wedding. Like I think of when I was probably 10 years ago, roughly, when I did my first wedding. And oh my gosh, I remember for like a month, I was like, why did I do this? And then now I show up and do a wedding and it's like, oh, I've got this. I've done how many? But I remember what happens if I got that feeling and just never pursued doing that part of our business, which would be so different. And I've worked a lot of weddings with yourself as well. And it's fun. Like we have usually I'm working with the same hairstylist, or the bride as well, so you have that nice flow. But yes, I do show up sometimes to different events, or even when I have to do pitches for our other business, and I'm nervous, but it's like it's a good nervous. And I like that you mentioned that, Monica. I feel like it's a great thing to say to entrepreneurs or people wanting to get into a different industry and grow outside of their comfort zone of our small town. And yeah, going in front of audiences in Toronto, that's amazing.
It being nervous is good. It means you want to challenge yourself, because you don't grow unless you do challenge yourself. And this is where I feel like, I got stuck. I was behind the chair, running my business, which is great and rewarding all on its own. But I'm like, I want to do something else. I want to elevate my career. What can I do next? And I was always like looking for that next step to take, and those next butterflies to get in my stomach, where it's like, okay, what's going to make me, nervous, different.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. I was just in Toronto. We put on the Goldwell KMS on tour, and I was shaking. Like I was shaking, and I said to my mom, I am nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous, but I'm nervous, and I don't have any reason to be nervous. I know all these people, but the attendees that were coming, it's like sometimes just doing something like a 3-day event like that, where it's something different. I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm good. Now I'm good. I've got my first day under my belt. It's good. Day 2 is always better, because you know what to expect. But I think it's really important in any industry to challenge yourself and step outside the box. So
and like we were saying too, like you're the expert. So I'm sure once you start working and getting your hands into doing hair and talking our language, basically, it all becomes that's like the neutral ground. And then you're in your flow of state, right? Of your expertise.
Yeah. And that's it, stepping outside the box and going on a stage, or talking, talking about something that you do every day versus actually doing it and talking about it are two different things. I feel like, we as stylists are visceral learners. We like, our hands, we work with our hands. We're tradespeople, right? We're tradespeople, but you tell me what to say on a stage, I will forever be stuttering my words, because, it's not natural for us. But you put me in a room of 300 people and give me a head to work on.
It's so true.
I will talk until the next week about what I'm doing. But again, it's balancing both worlds, and it's important to do that in a career.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely putting Muskoka on the map too when it comes to, like, you had just, because didn't you just get the title too for national? Was it last week or the week before? Last week, yeah. So I feel like this is like perfect timing with the award ceremony in Bracebridge, with the national now title, and then yes, putting Muskoka on the map for hair in so many different ways. And I also feel like it's such, like when I first opened my business, I remember coming to your business because you're so helpful. Like, oh, here, I have this stuff if you need it. Or when I was opening, oh, I have some of this stuff left over if you want some stuff to get you started. And I think as people now, I think of myself that I've been in the industry for a while now as well. And I feel like it's being those role models for people going into, whether it's hair or spa, salon, or even just business in general. And that's why I always love having some of our local superstars on here, because it's nice for people to hear the story, because they might know you, but not the full story of how you got into the industry and where you are today.
Well, thank you for that. Yes. And I think, in this industry, the beauty industry as a whole, I feel it's a whole community And yes, even being in a small town, but I feel like we all have each other's backs. Like I feel like,
100%.
I could walk down the main street of Bracebridge and walk into any salon and talk and like share advice and like ask me for help. I have so many different stylists within Bracebridge and Muskoka alone that reach out to me to ask for advice or help. And absolutely, like I just feel like this is, our industry, we like to share. Sometimes we're oversharers.
Oh yeah,
But
that's part of the job though, Monica.
yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, like I should have wrapped that up. But yeah, it's nice in a way because we like to overshare, and when we're passionate about something, it's like yes, and that's the key. Is sometimes I have to learn to not overwhelm new stylists with so much information because
I'm the same. Yeah.
I love to share. And yes, I sometimes have to put a lid on it because when you're passionate about it, it's something that it comes out. It's like breathing. It just comes out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I probably confused the heck out of them. But I'll see them next month and we'll talk about it more.
Yeah, exactly. But then it's one of those things too, is like you're recognizing that. So then the next time, okay, let's just redo a review or whatever you need to do for the next steps for them to understand. But that's the other thing I think that's great is being that openness so people feel comfortable. I think that's why you are so successful as well, is because people feel comfortable in your chair, as well as education now as well. So thank you so much for jumping on with us. I know we've been trying to make it work for a little while now, and I feel like the timing couldn't have been even, it's amazing, the timing and getting everything, literally all your awards, everything happening the week before this podcast. So it's a great announcement for everyone to hear, and we'll definitely be sharing with you, and you can post on social media, and we'll put all your links and everything below as well, Monica, so people can reach out.
Well, thank you so much for having me on here. And yes, it took us some time. Again, being behind the chair and working so much, the pair of us, it's like we have to stop and be on a Zoom call to chat and see each other. But I think it's a great thing that you're doing for the industry. And thanks for having me. And it was great chatting.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much. We'll have to actually get together in person soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Monica.
Okay, take care, Nicole.